It's Iron Bowl week. We'll talk about this Saturday's game in Jordan-Hare Stadium and also what's up with Auburn's roster. Is it fixable? And how did it get to this point? All that and more on today's Locked On Auburn.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining us as he does every Tuesday for a Charlie Tuesday, Charlie5, Auburn message board legend. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good. Got bad news. We just lost again right before we got on the air. We lost again.
What do you mean?
Auburn team football, we lost again right before we got on the air. 3 in a row. Now it's 4.
Got it. We just can't quit losing. We just can't quit losing.
Can't stop the bleeding. Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Why are we at this point, Charlie5? I mean, it seems like it's just gotten exponentially worse over the last 3 weeks, where it's just like crappy roster has been absolutely exposed. And obviously those injuries definitely don't help with anything, with Bo being out and Anders and Owen and Kobe, but it's not a great spot to be in right now.
No. You look at the last 3 games, Texas A&M, you just got absolutely outmanned completely from top to bottom, almost every position across the board. Mississippi State, you come out super hot, and then Bo breaks his ankle on a drive where he moved the ball down the field. He made 2 big third down throws on that drive, breaks his ankle, and he's hobbling the whole rest of the game. Defense has their, whatever, and we couldn't score at all to, continue the points and, possibly pull that game out. And then we have a vast array of people in key positions out that, from the kicker to the starting quarterback to your emerging wide receiver, a couple of interior offensive linemen. It just seems like it's been sort of a recipe for disaster ever since the A&M game. I wouldn't necessarily say we're getting worse. It just seems like that we've sort of plateaued, and when you miss a few positions here or there, it can lead to bad things, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
Right. So you and I were talking before we clicked record. How quick can Bryan Harsin fix this roster?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's tough and it's bad. It's really bad. I can't believe I watched that game and felt like South Carolina's receivers were just head and shoulders more athletic than what we put on the field. And I love our guys, but they are what they are at this point. I feel like the comment made about their 2 plays in the second half that they ran, like we just ran 2 plays. Well, I mean, they acted like that was a huge accomplishment. They didn't really do a whole lot in the second half. I mean, they scored 1 touchdown. They only had 300 yards total of offense. So it's not like they did a whole lot, but even with those 2 plays, they were able to extend drives. Mm-hmm. They're able to seal our edge really easily. Several times the running backs just bounced it, fairly easy. So we're even weak at times on the defensive line. Just top to bottom, we're just not there yet. And then couple it with some, questionable coaching decisions, maybe trying to do too much at times, than just doing what you do best. It's just not a good deal. And I don't know that there's enough guys in the portal that could come in next year and make a huge, huge difference.
So we feel like there's enough guys in the portal that's going to be, okay, this can bring us immediate impact.
Right.
Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't.
You don't think there is. Okay.
I think that's your only option. I just don't know that those guys are going to be there. That's going to be able to make a substantial difference moving forward. If that makes sense. Or if
they are there, are they going to choose Auburn? I think
right.
That's
Bingo.
Question. Yeah. Are they going to go to a contender? So, and
and
also something else to kind of keep all the new people coming in and the folks coming back. On at least one side of the ball, I'd be shocked if both coordinators were still there. I would be shocked if both Mike Bobo and Derek Mason were the coordinators for Auburn next year. I just feel like Harsin has to change somewhere. And it may not. I may be wrong, but I would be shocked if both of them were still there. I'd also be shocked if both of them were gone. I feel like he'll keep one and get rid of another one. But that's out of the ball.
Which one do you what do you think's the bigger problem and why?
Wow. I would say the offense is the bigger problem.
Okay. And you think that's solely off of offensive coordinator? What's the issue there?
I don't know. That's a great question. I think in regards to the issues with the offense season long, I think we all can kind of point at what the issues were this past weekend, but you don't fire somebody for one game, even though sometimes we may want to do that. So as far as long-term issues, I think Bo got better. I think the receivers eventually got better, but I still don't think you consistently called plays to the strength of the offense. And I think the strength of the offense is the 3 running backs that they have. I don't think you did a whole lot of creative things as far as getting into their hands. So I would go more of the play calling route than the scheme route, because I think even on Saturday, I think the game plan is fine, because I think you see it in the script early in the game where it's like, okay, they can kind of put their heads together and create a script and create a game plan. I just think the flow of the game gets away from Bobo at times. So I would say that's the issue.
I think if you just look at it from production standpoint, I think you're right. I think you could definitely make that argument. But at the same point, let's just really talk about, not from an emotional, this game aspect. Let's just really talk about it. For up until the A&M game, I feel like we saw a steady progression with the offense develop, not only from receivers, the multiplicity that we could have, the different weapons that we were developing, tight end, the way we were getting the ball to Shivers, the way we were using. I felt like we had a lot of momentum going. Okay, up until the A&M game, and like I said, A&M were just outmanned. I feel like we're just 100% outmanned. And then you come into Mississippi State, you come out firing, and Bo breaks his ankle. That is not something that can be overlooked. You scored 4 straight touchdowns in the Mississippi State game. You come out, and I think it's either your first or your second drive. Bo's taking you down the field, and he breaks his ankle. And then it's after that, you're in a bind. You're in a bind. And then you lose that game. You come into Mississippi. You come into South Carolina.
But you're still asking. But from a play calling standpoint, you're still calling plays for Bo to move around in the pocket with a broken ankle. Like, why are you doing that?
Well, at that point, did they know it was that bad? Do you know it was that bad?
I don't think any of us expected to be broken, the fact that he was able to run on it, but clearly the dude's hobbling all over the field. We all saw that.
I just don't think he could have thrown I think it affected. He went 12. He was like almost flawless on the first half, and then he was 11 or 12 of 22 in the second half.
Yeah, he did 4 drives,
we couldn't run the ball. We could not run the ball though. There was no option. Like, we couldn't run the ball. They couldn't get a push at all. And that speaks to, it's like when I go back to talking about the roster, it seems like there's always one thing that we just can't do in a game. Like, it's like there's one thing we're just like a couple of players away every single game. And you can't just, to me, there's just not a whole lot of magical schemes that you can do to scheme around that until you finally just get exposed. South Carolina, I do kind of, stepping back, I wish Tank could have got more touches. I wish he'd have been in on the 4th and 1. I wish he'd have been in on the last drive. But at the same time, I don't know that these guys are just complete dummies. I don't know. The 4th and 1, we were talking about it before we got on. That wasn't a play they just drew up on the sideline. Like, that was a situation that was a mismatch or whatever, a formation that they felt like when they got in that situation on the field, they had a chance to make a big play, and it just didn't work. That's
why I say, I think when they craft a game plan, I'm okay with the ideas that they bring into the game. But I think the play calling gets away from them, because the whole 7.5 yards, if they run it 10 more times, is he still going to average 7.5 yards every time he touches it? Probably not.
Probably not.
but you still got to ride it out. And I understand you want to understand tank, and but at some point you got to win the football game. And on the other side of it is Hunter had 4 carries, and that needs to go up. I mean, when you're talking about having I think Coach Pink with On 3 did a good job in his write-up. I mean, kind of exercising the fact of okay, with your backup quarterback and your receivers that have been inconsistent and your best one all season's out, give more touches to Jarquez. And they didn't do it. And so that's why I'm I think the aspect of play calling and just natural flow of the game is the actual issue here.
And there's probably a good argument for that. And I'm not saying that that's not the case. But at the same point in time, I don't feel like if you're where you need to be roster wise, you don't really have the ability to overthink it. It just kind of happens the way it happens. And it just, I don't know. I've liked the style of offense we run. I like the dynamics of it and the flexibility and the ability to do multiple things. I like that. I like the change away from what we're doing prior. So it's hard for me to just get, I'm not saying you're being emotional or people are being emotional, because I get it. I totally get it. But we cannot get past the fact that our starting quarterback broke his foot in the second half of the Mississippi State game after just leading 4 straight touchdown drives. And how many teams can you just put a backup quarterback in and not lose a step?
Yeah, we talk about that in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Hey, this is it. The putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours. But on your backswing, that hat falls over your eyes. Is that a good or a bad thing, Charlie5?
It's terrible. That's
a bad thing. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're still relying on spreadsheets and outdated finance software? To see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system to power your growth with visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. Do you want things spread out, Charlie5, or all in one place?
I like it.
All in one place, baby. All in one place. So if you're running a business, NetSuite is exactly what you need. They've been doing it for over 27. I thought this said for over 27,000 years. Nope, that's not it. For over 27,000 businesses, they already use NetSuite. And right now, through the end of the year, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program to those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/lockedonncaa. netsuite.com/lockedonncaa. All right. And also our friends at Prize Picks. Shout out to Charlie5 for texting me right before Auburn kicked off against South Carolina. They had Kobe Hudson at 3.5 catches. You took the under on that. Hey, you won some money through Prize Picks this weekend.
I did. They did not pay for Kobe though. They got it did not play. But hey, take a shot. You never know what'll happen.
That's right.
You never know what could happen.
That's right. Shoot your shot. Absolutely. Now, Prize Picks, they offer a ton of different props. It's really fun. Daily fantasy sports. They're kind of the leader in daily college sports. So check out prizepicks.com. And when you make a deposit, use promo code Locked On to get a deposit match up to $100. Don't hesitate. Prizepicks.com. Use promo code Locked On or go to your app store and download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. So we say this all the time, Charlie5. Whenever a team like Alabama or Ohio State or last several years, not this year, Clemson, and I guess now we can say it with Georgia, whenever they go into the season, assuming none of those teams are playing each other, you say, okay, they should win every game. And if they do not, they failed. They underachieved because they are more talented than every team on the roster.
Right.
Or on the schedule. Auburn, let's assume Bo is out against South Carolina, and let's assume Bo is out against Mississippi State. With Finley, they are still the more talented team than both of those schools. In my opinion,
they?
I think so.
It may be on paper, but your guys, you've been developed under a system. You've been developed under a different system for 2 years that doesn't produce NFL off. Well, the only NFL offensive linemen, I feel like they end up doing it on their own, or they come from another position. You don't develop NFL wide receivers for the most part.
Right.
You don't develop NFL quarterbacks. You don't develop anything remotely at a high level on offense at all. Period. And then your defense, you're our top 3 out of the 4 top performers from Pro Football Focus. The top 3 out of 4 last game were transfers. They're all transfers. So I'm not 100% sure that we do have a roster. We can go look at star rankings. We see what that's done for us over the last 6-7 years. We can go look at the star rankings, blue chip ratio, whatever we want to look at.
Yeah.
The fact is, the blue chips at Auburn over the last decade have not panned out for one reason or the other. So I'm not 100% sure that we do have a roster that's more talented. It should be more talented than a South Carolina or a Mississippi State. I'm just not 100% sure that we do. So
the previous coaching staff has dug Auburn in such a large hole. How does Bryan Harsin get us out of this situation? And I know you're not saying specifically the coaching staff, but a large hole has been dug. How about let's just leave it at that?
I feel like this is my biggest fear. This is my biggest concern with Bryan Harsin and this staff is when you come from Boise and you look at Auburn's roster, you're like, wow, this is way more talent than I've ever had. But you don't have what you can compare it to the rest of the teams you're going to play. So the sense of urgency to me, and it may change. It may be the light may have switched on now, but the sense of urgency when he got here to fix the holes in the roster was not as intense or as important that I felt like it should have been from a hiring top-notch recruiters outside of Mike Bobo and Derek Mason. We assume Derek Mason is going to be a good recruiter. I haven't really seen it pan out yet, but hiring top-notch recruiters, making sure that you can bring in that influx of talent. People talk about, Nick Saban was 7-6 his first year with losses to blah 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 blah. Well, he had the best recruiting class that's possibly ever been assembled.
Right.
That next cycle as well, and we don't have anything near that. So you can use that comparison all you want to. The roster is where I feel like the sense of urgency needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. And there very well could have been an awakening over the last several weeks, and maybe the portal is going to be something we're going to hit hard. Maybe we're going to close strong. They're just keeping it close to the vest, whatever. But like I said, when you come from Boise and you're like, I know that roster, and then I come in here for spring, and I'm like, dang, I got some talented dudes. I got some ballers on defensive line, because that's what you have to compare it to. So the sense of urgency of I've got to overhaul this roster immediately, and as fast as I can, as hard as I can. Maybe it wasn't there fast enough. So that's kind of where I feel like we're at right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It makes plenty of sense. We've talked about this before. What do you think, if you had to predict right now, let's assume Auburn takes 25 guys in this class.
Yeah.
What's the recruit to transfer ratio?
I say you probably you're allowed, if we lose 7, we can add 7 and not count towards that number. So I think you're still probably going to have somewhere around 10 to 12 portal guys possibly, and then the rest.
So what do you think that looks like, just from like a diplomatic standpoint? Do you just ask a bunch of dudes to leave?
I mean, every other coach does it.
Yeah.
Every other coach, we joke about getting processed. Every other coach does it. There's different ways. I mean, maybe we can figure out some sign and trade type deal with some like Sunbelt schools or something like that, where we can.
Like Harsin, can you get some of your studs from Boise to come with you? Like, I'm shocked that never happened. By the way,
I can't believe it. But that goes back to seeing I'm sure our offense. I'm sure the roster we have right now is way more talented than Boise's roster. You know what I mean? So it may seem like it was a huge jump. Oh man, we're stacked, but are we stacked compared to our competition? And that's where I think we're so far. And the room for error is razor thin. The room for error, which makes makes the wins at Arkansas and Ole Miss like extremely impressive to me.
You're right.
Extremely impressive.
I get that. Yeah. Watching those guys play this past weekend, it's like, wow. And then like Auburn owned them. Like Auburn.
Yeah. Dominated
Auburn
those two teams.
Like clearly the better team in both of those matchups. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. Hey, it's Thanksgiving. We all know what that means. Football, and nothing goes better with football than turkey and betting.
Dressing.
Oh, yep. Betting, Charlie5. BetOnline has you covered all holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for sports action this Thanksgiving. If you are feeling dicey about the Iron Bowl, what is the line? I haven't even looked. I'm afraid
it's 18.5.
All right. If you feel like Auburn can cover that, you need to head over to betonline.ag and use promo code LOCKEDON to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Or if you've given up all hope and you want to go the other way, that's an option as well. So BetOnline, we're stuffed with deals for this Thanksgiving. You know what else goes great with the holiday season, Charlie5?
Tell me, Zach.
Frisky whiskey.
I love it. That's good. That's good. Frisky whiskey.
If you're in the Auburn County area or in the West Georgia area, heck, even if you're in Atlanta, it's worth the drive to Frisky whiskey because you want to have access to like the best priced spirits around, maybe in the entire world. I don't know. I can't confirm that. It's not in the read, but it may be true. It may be true.
You can't say it's not true.
Yeah, prove me wrong. Dare you. I absolutely dare you to do that. But love our friends at Frisky Whiskey. They've got a ridiculous amount of selection in regards to wine and beer and whiskey and vodka, gin, whatever you want. Frisky Whiskey has it and then some. So yeah, be sure to type in Frisky Whiskey in your phone's GPS and it will take you there. We love our friends at Frisky Whiskey. All right, Charlie5, it is it's Iron Bowl week.
Yeah.
How you feeling about Saturday?
It's so sad because this, to me, no disrespect, but this is the most beatable Alabama team I feel like that we've seen in quite a while. And I honestly think this team is more beatable than the team that we beat in 2019. If I'm just being completely honest, and I just don't know how we're going to be able to create enough offense. Because I don't know who you go to. I just don't know who you go. You don't beat Alabama running the ball. So right there, our biggest strength is Tank, and I just don't know how you can get him the ball enough to be able to or get him enough space to be able to make anything happen. You got to beat them throwing the ball down the field. And I don't know.
I think you call a bunch of deep stuff and you're like, all right, Finley, you can throw it really far. Let's just see what happens.
Throw it as far as you can.
I want 6 of those. I want 6 of those shot calls because why not? Why not? I mean, you obviously got nothing to lose. You're going to be at home. Weirder things have happened at Jordan-Hare Stadium in an Iron Bowl. So that's something I would like to see. Hopefully Kobe Hudson is back. Hopefully John Samuel Shanker's a little bit more healthy and gets an extra pep in his step kind of thing. But that's
like how many yards are they going to have on like RPO, little slants and things like that? I mean,
Alabama.
Yeah, I mean that's what scares me to death is like those little, because Bryce is so accurate on those RPO type passes. It's just
I think Auburn's going to be able to have a solid defensive game plan to keep a minute, but they can't be on the field for the first, they can't just support the offense as it goes 3 and out, 3 and out, 3. I mean, how many times have we seen that? We've seen bad Auburn teams stay in it, and then the defense over time just gets worn out because Alabama's offense is on the field the whole time. So whatever you do offensively, even if you don't
sustain drives,
get 2 first downs every time. And I know that's a huge ask, but I think you can run on this team. I just think people don't. So I think this Auburn team will be able to move the football on the ground. Will it be enough? I don't know. And will Alabama be able to bring more guys close to the line of scrimmage and just kind of, but like watching Alabama play Arkansas last week, I was like, man, I think Auburn can move the ball on these guys. And then like, we can't move the ball in South Carolina. It's like, oh, maybe not. Maybe we can't do that. But I think, these Alabama DBs, while they're extremely talented and the NFL is still going to love them, like they are not comfortable 20 yards downfield. They're just not.
That's where they're weak. They're definitely weak throwing the ball down the field. And if we had Bo, I think we probably had a puncher's chance, a healthy Bo. Actually, probably better than a puncher's chance. But I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure where we're at. I'm not sure if we can. I just don't know if we can throw it down the field. I really don't know. They're just going to camp out on these underneath stuff that TJ can do well and basically dare him to throw a deep ball. And, he hasn't proved that he can do that yet with the little time that he's got. And I don't want to completely throw TJ under the bus because I don't think TJ was all of the problem. I
thought TJ was fine Saturday.
He did. Totally fine. He struggled with his touch a little bit, throwing the ball down the field. I'm trying to, throw those little touch passes down the field. But
he's asked to be a starting quarterback in an offense that's supposed to progress each and every week. As a starting quarterback, you're supposed to gel with your team and get a little bit better as an offense every week. And he hasn't been able to do that. He's coming in with 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe, depending on how many reps he got, the week leading up to LSU. He's going into the final week of the season with 3 weeks of starting quarterback reps. Like that's not, no one is going to be set up, be good in that scenario unless you're a really special player. So he's not set up to succeed right now. And so,
no.
I think he did fine. He was okay Saturday.
Sure.
Not why Auburn lost.
Right. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Y'all talked a little bit about the punt at the end of the game. Both of you felt like you saw the ball touch him. Like I swear I've watched it, and maybe I'm biased. I agreed. Why is Jalen anywhere near that? Why doesn't Demetrius Robertson come up, call people off, and catch the ball? But I can't.
I tell you, he DM'd me after the game.
Yeah, I heard you say that. I don't know why he got upset with that, but
I guess he just I don't know. That's other stuff to worry about, man.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff to worry about than that. He was saying, you were complimenting him, but then you went back to a joke. So obviously he doesn't know about the joke prior, is what it is.
That's fine. Whatever.
So, which is fine. Whatever. Sorry, dude.
Right.
Not a, whatever. Move on. But yeah. But let's say all that doesn't happen and we field the punt, whatever, we down it. I heard y'all kind of talk about it. You said 4. I think y'all both said like 4 out of 10. Like, was there anything about that game that made us feel like we could have marched down the field and then scored a touchdown? And I just don't.
No way.
No, I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all.
Lindsey's argument was,
at least you got a chance.
We got a chance, right?
Yeah. So you're telling me there's a chance.
Maybe they were saving their super secret plays, their really good plays, until that moment.
It's possible. Maybe they were going to run Tank 12 times right down the field.
He
was fresh.
Yeah, I'd been used in a minute. Do you buy into the whole Tank super frustrated and may leave? You buy into that at all?
Oh,
nothing makes me more sad than that conversation.
I'll say this. If it weren't for rehiring Carnell, we more than likely would have lost him last year. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure that there is a huge Auburn pull on Tank's heart as much as we would like it to be. And I'm not saying that I think that he's going to go, but it's not going to shock me. It's not going to shock me if he says, I want to go try to win a championship or go find a little bit better running offensive line to run behind next year. That's not going to shock me. And I don't know if I blame. I would hate it, but it's like I don't know if you really blame him because he is a legitimate first round talent. And if you're yeah, they'll find you, but also you got the ability to get probably more ability to get hurt or banged up behind this line unless, Harsin throws out the plan that says, look, this is how we're going to fix it. We're going to get these 3 transfers, and that's what's gonna do it. And maybe that sells it. Maybe that sells it.
I mean, if he goes to Georgia, that's going to be something like that's going to hurt a lot of people. Like emotionally, that's going to be a big deal.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like if he leaves, I hope he goes to like Ohio State or something.
Somewhere where we don't have to play against, for sure.
Because like
their running back room's pretty stacked though. That would be a ballsy move. That'd be a ballsy move.
They're not Tank Bigsby.
Bro, they got like 5 Tanks Bigsby.
You've said Tanks like 4 times this pod, and I love it.
I know. Yeah.
Tonk.
He's multiple. He's more than one. He's plural.
I love that all the beat writers tweet out Tonk whenever he does something good. Touchdown Tonk Bigsby.
Tonk Bigsby.
Charlie5, where can people find you and hear you, buddy?
Find me on Twitter at _Charlie_5. You can find me on the Auburn Live message board, the Corner, or Auburn 247 Sports Body Get a Board, or Monday through Friday, the Dad Bod Golf Pod.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, tune in tomorrow right here on Locked On Auburn.